Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Introduction to Computer Applications at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is give you just a little bit of feedback on the Excel Module 1 activities that I finished grading yesterday morning. And then I'm going to tell you what we've got coming up due for Excel Module 2 next week. And that's pretty much it for today. So first thing is the Excel Module 1 activities. Like I said, I did finish grading those yesterday. If you haven't already gone in and looked at your grades for those activities and read the corresponding grading comments, go ahead and do that as soon as you can. And let me know if you have any questions at all. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Most of you did well on the Excel Module 1 assignments. And like I always tell you, I really appreciate those of you that put the time and effort into the class. So keep up the good work on that. I really appreciate it. Now, there were a few of you who seemed to have some problems using the sum function or the sum button to get the totals, and also inserting the formulas for the net values. So some of you, instead of inserting the formulas and functions, you just inserted the calculated values. Well, the problem with doing that is if you don't insert the formulas and functions and you just insert the totals with a number, then what happens is when we go to update the worksheet later on, and businesses have to update their worksheets on a regular basis, because new numbers will come in, new dollar amounts will come in for various months and weeks and so forth, that they have to update their worksheets. And when you have just a number there instead of a formula or function, Excel will not recalculate the totals and the other calculated values because it's just a static number. It's just a number that you've input into the cell without any formula or function in it. But when you actually insert the formula or function to calculate the totals and other calculated values, then when you go to update the worksheet later on, Excel will automatically recalculate all of those numbers for you. Also, any charts that you created based on those numbers will be automatically updated. So it's very important to make sure that you're inserting the specified functions and formulas in the cells of the worksheet. So just make sure, a couple of you just need to kind of take more time to make sure that you're following the instructions and not just looking at what the finished worksheet should look like and trying to get it to look like that, because there's more to it than just the looks of it on an Excel worksheet, because I'm going to go in and check your formulas and functions as well. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind when you're doing the Module 2 and Module 3 assignments. Like I said, most of you did perfectly fine on the formulas and functions, but there are a couple of you that need to work on that. Like I said, if you have any questions or you need help on that, just let me know and I'll be glad to help you. A good place to ask your question, if you remember, is the discussion on the activities page for that particular module that you have a question about. Okay? All right. Now, I did also notice that on assignment 2, where you had to open up a data file, which was basically an Excel workbook that was already partially done, and you had to make changes to the values in the worksheet. Some of you submitted the incomplete worksheet. In other words, the worksheet the way it looked when you opened it up before you made the changes. What you were really supposed to submit was, of course, the completed worksheet after you make all of the changes to the worksheet and the formatting and so forth, and created the, moved the chart to another sheet and so forth. So There were just a couple of you that did that. So for future assignments, just make sure that you're carefully following the instructions and making sure that you upload the correct file. Okay. But like I said, overall, most of you did well on Excel Module 1. Now, that brings us to Excel Module 2. So, if we go to the activities page in Miles Arca, right now we're on week 7 of the semester. And, of course, we're kind of approaching the middle portion of the week. The Excel Module 1 activities were due Sunday. And, of course, that was the first day of week 7. So we don't have anything else due this week, but we do have work due the middle of next week. So you've got about a week, basically, to be working on Excel Module 2 activities, which are due by Wednesday of next week, which is March 12th. So you've got a little bit of time there, but go ahead and get started as soon as you can, and that way you have more time to ask me questions or to work out any issues before you have to submit the work. Okay. The Excel Module 2 assignments are going to basically take what you've learned from Excel Module 1 and expand on that, of course. You're going to learn more specific types of formatting, more specific types of, and more types of functions. For example, in Module 1, really the only function that we learned was the sum function, and we used the sum button to get those totals. But in Module 2, you're going to learn about some other functions like the average function and the min function and the max function. And you'll learn about some more formatting techniques and also a little bit more complex formulas than what we had in Module 1. Now, just like I talked about for Module 1, in Module 2, again, it's going to be very critical that you carefully follow the instructions and make sure that you're inserting the specified formulas and functions in the worksheet instead of just entering the calculated values. Okay? And so just make sure you're doing that. Also, on the Assignment 1 page for Excel Module 2, there are demonstration videos at the bottom of the page that I've created for you. There are like 3 parts there that basically cover different portions of the assignment. And in those demonstration videos, I take you step by step through the creation of the basic part of the worksheet where you're just entering the basic numbers and titles and so forth, headings, and then into the next step, which is inserting the formulas and functions, and then the last step, which is formatting the worksheet. And so just make sure that, again, that you're following the instructions, and most of you have been. There are a couple of you that probably need to kind of just spend a little bit more time making sure that you're following the instructions correctly. Okay. Let's see. Also in Module 2, it's going to be very critical for you to check all your formulas and functions for accuracy. Okay. Make sure that after you insert a formula or function, check it. Make sure it's correct. Now, if you are working on your worksheet and you're doing all these formulas and functions in the worksheet like it says to do, and you end up with the incorrect calculated value, either one or more incorrect calculated values, there are really 2 things that can cause an incorrect calculated value from a formula or function. The first thing is, the most obvious thing, is that the formula or function may be incorrect. And so that's the first thing you need to check if you have an incorrect calculated value. If you check that and you know that that's correct, then the next thing, the only other thing that it can be that would create an incorrect value would be one or more of the numbers that are being used in the formula or function are incorrect. And so that's where you need to go back and check all the numbers that are referenced in your formula or function and correct any of those errors. Once you do that, then you should have the correct calculated values. But like I said, as you're working on Excel Module 2, if you run into a problem where you can't get the correct calculated value and you've already checked the two things that I said to check, then send me a course, or actually, better yet, use the Excel Module 2 help discussion item right here. Be very specific on what question, what you're having a problem with, what calculated value you're unable to get correct, and so forth, and be very specific on the problem that you're experiencing when you send your message on the Excel Module 2 help discussion item. And as soon as you send that, I will look at it and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. And what that will do is other students that may have similar problems will be able to benefit from my reply to your question. Now, if you have a question very specific to your workbook, then what you could do is email me your workbook through course mail and tell me specifically what you're having problems with, and then I can look at your workbook and see, what I can do to help you to get through that potential problem. Okay? All right. So, like I said, be working on Excel Module 2. The sooner you get started on those assignments and activities, it's going to be better, because Excel Module 2 is a little bit, like I said, more complex than what we did in Module 1. So it's going to take more time to create the worksheets and workbooks in Module 2. So just kind of keep that in mind. And that's really all I have for you for today. Like I said, be working on those. Let me know if you have questions. And I will talk to you again sometime next week. Have a good week and weekend. Thank you.